You know that little wave of relief that hits when you realize you don't have to leave the house today? Somebody invited you to something. The cookout, the birthday dinner, the homies listening party. And you said yes 3 weeks ago because 3 weeks ago felt like a different planet. Now, it's the day of. And the second you find a legitimate reason to bail, your whole body relaxes like you just got off a long flight. That's the feeling we're talking about today. I'm Franklin, and if you're a black man somewhere between 46 and 61, and the inside of your house has quietly become your favorite place on earth, I want to walk you through why. There's a stack of real reasons sitting on top of you, and once you see them laid out, you stop feeling weird about it. You might even decide to do something about it. Or not. Your house, your rules. Let's start with what you actually do now, because the behavior tells the story before the feelings do. You wake up. You don't rush. You make your coffee the way you like it, not the way the break room Keurig makes it. You handle your business from a laptop at the kitchen table or a desk in the spare room. You take a call in a t-shirt. You eat lunch standing at your own counter. The doorbell rings. It's a package. The phone rings. You let it. By the time the sun starts going down, the idea of putting on real pants and driving 22 minutes to sit in traffic, to sit in a restaurant, to sit across from somebody who's going to be on their phone half the time, it feels insane. Genuinely insane. Like, who designed that life? And why did we agree to it? And here's the first thing folks miss. This is bigger than you. Bigger than a black thing. Bigger than a COVID thing. Researchers at Clemson and UCLA pulled the American Time Use Survey, 34,000 respondents, and tracked how much time Americans spend on activities outside the home. In 2019, the number was 332 minutes a day. By 2021, it dropped to 271. That's an hour of your day, gone from out there and reabsorbed into in here. And through 2023, the number stayed well below where it was before the pandemic. The country got pulled inside, and a lot of folks just never fully came back out. Now here's the part that should make you sit up. The same researchers say the shift towards staying home didn't start in 2020. It started around 2003. COVID didn't invent this. COVID just put gasoline on a fire that had already been smoldering for almost 20 years. Which means you're riding a wave that's been building since flip phones. So when you feel that pull toward the couch, that's the current of the entire country, and you happen to be swimming in it during the years when your knees hurt. Okay, so the country's going inside. Why is it hitting Gen X men so hard, and black Gen X men in particular? That's where it gets interesting. Question: when was the last time you had 6 close friends? Not 6 guys you'd nod at in the parking lot at Home Depot. Not 6 guys you went to school with whose Instagrams you scroll past. 6 guys you'd actually call if your transmission went out at 11 at night. The Survey Center on American Life ran the numbers. In 1990, 55% of American men said they had at least 6 close friends. By 2021, that number had fallen to 27%, cut in half. And the share of men who said they had no close friends at all jumped from 3% to 15%. That's a 5-fold increase in men with literally nobody in that inner circle. Single, unpartnered men got hit the worst. About 1 in 5 reported 0 close friends. That's a recession, a friendship recession. And it didn't happen because we all woke up one day and decided we hated each other. It happened slowly. People moved. People had kids. People got divorced. People worked longer hours. People got tired. The friend you used to shoot pool with on Thursdays moved to Charlotte for his wife's job in 2009, and you've seen him twice since. The dude from your first job, the one who made you laugh so hard you almost crashed the company van. You have his number and you haven't used it in 4 years, and now it feels weird to call out of the blue. So you don't. Multiply that by 10 guys over 20 years, and that's how a man ends up with a phone full of contacts and nobody to call. And here's what that does to the house question. If you don't have anywhere to go, you don't go anywhere. Leaving the house implies there are people on the other side of leaving worth leaving for. When that math stops adding up, the door stops opening. Why would you put on a belt to go sit by yourself at a bar and pay $9 for a beer you could have had on the porch for free? The newer data is even louder. By 2024, about 17% of Americans said they had no close friends at all, up from 12% just 3 years earlier. And when researchers asked who got emotional support from a friend in the past week, only 21% of men said yes, compared to 41% of women. So women are leaning on each other almost twice as much as we are. That's a maintenance gap, plain and simple. They kept the wires connected. A lot of us let them go cold, and now we don't know which one to plug back in first. So you got a national homebody drift. You got a friendship recession. Now let's talk about the third thing, which is specific to a lot of black men in this age range, and it's the one that doesn't get said clean. Work. For most of your adult life, going to work meant going somewhere, a building, an office, a floor, a cubicle. And for a lot of black men in corporate spaces, in government spaces, in healthcare, in education, in trades that put you in client homes, going to work also meant putting on a second person before you walked in. The voice, the posture, the carefully measured laugh at a joke that wasn't funny, the decision about whether to mention what happened on the news, the decision about whether to push back when your idea got repeated back to you by Greg in the meeting, and suddenly Greg's a genius. Every single day, for 30 years. Then 2020 happened, and a whole lot of folks got sent home. And something quiet happened in a lot of black households. People started feeling better, better in their bodies, better in their heads, safer from a virus, and safer in their own skin. Future Forum, the think tank Slack put together, surveyed thousands of knowledge workers and found 97% of black respondents preferred fully remote or hybrid work. 97. When the number gets that high, you're past preference. You're looking at a verdict. 68% of black workers wanted flexible policies, compared to 56% of white workers. And when reporters dug into why, the answer came back over and over. Relief from the daily microaggressions, relief from constant code switching, relief from being the only one in the room. CBS News reported on this directly. The Hill ran a piece on it. The reason a lot of black workers didn't want to come back to the office had nothing to do with laziness. Home was the lowest friction environment of the day. At home, you don't have to translate yourself. You don't have to soften yourself. You don't have to manage somebody else's discomfort about you existing. You just work. You hit the numbers. You log off. So now stack that up. Going outside means going where people are. People means work people, and work people, for a lot of you, means putting that second version of yourself back on like a wet coat. Why would you do that voluntarily on a Saturday for a happy hour you don't even want to be at? You wouldn't. You don't. And recent BLS data says about 1 in 5 American workers are still working from home in some form, with around 1 in 10 fully remote. So this is the new layout. Home is where life happens. Outside is where you go to handle errands. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that's all bad. There's something genuinely healing about getting to be a full person in your own kitchen for 40 hours a week instead of a managed performance in somebody else's conference room. That part is real. The trouble starts when home stops being a refuge and starts being a hiding place. And that line is thinner than people think. Which brings us to the fourth thing on the stack, and this is the one I want you to hear me on. The American Psychological Association published a study in 2024 led by a researcher named Inferna at Arizona State. They looked at loneliness across generations and found that middle-aged folks in the United States, specifically late baby boomers and Gen X, are reporting higher levels of loneliness than the same age groups did in previous generations. They tied it to wage stagnation, job insecurity, and weaker family supports. Translation, y'all are the first generation in a while to hit your 50s without the cushion your parents had at the same age. No pension, mortgage still going, kids still calling for money, parents starting to need help, and in the middle of all that, fewer people checking on you. The U.S. Surgeon General put out an advisory in 2023. Vivek Murthy, the guy with the title, he declared loneliness and social isolation a public health concern. And the language he used wasn't soft. He said lacking social connection raises your risk of premature death at a level comparable to smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day. Heart disease risk goes up around 29%. Stroke risk goes up around 32%. Dementia risk in older adults goes up about 50%. That's the government, on letterhead, telling you that not having people in your life will run you down almost as efficient as a pack-a-day habit. And when you narrow the lens, the picture gets sharper. A study published a few years back looked at 1,200 black men with chronic conditions, average age around 57. 26% said they felt isolated. About 25% said they didn't have enough people to call on for help. Almost 24% said they weren't content with the friendships they had. That's your demographic, almost on the nose. Another analysis, this one out of the Health and Retirement Study, looked at men 50 and older. Among the black men in that sample, almost 36% showed signs of cognitive impairment, compared to about 17.5% of the white men. And loneliness was independently linked to worse cognitive status, meaning the longer you stay walled off, the more it costs you upstairs, beyond the emotional weight of it. I'm not telling you that to scare you. I'm telling you because we have a tendency, as men in this age bracket, to treat staying home like it's neutral, like it's just preference, like it's just personality. The data is saying it has weight. It has a price tag. And the price tag shows up in places you won't connect back to it. Your blood pressure, your sleep, the way your memory starts playing tricks on you in your 60s, the way little setbacks start hitting harder than they used to. The Amsterdam News ran a piece recently specifically on the loneliness epidemic among black men. They talked to therapists. They cited CDC data on suicide rates. The reporting kept coming back to the same thing. There's a cultural pressure on black men in this age range to absorb everything without telling anybody. And the house becomes the place where you do that absorbing, quietly, alone, with the TV on for company. So here's where I want to land this thing. You staying home is fine. You earned the right to be in your house. You paid for that couch. You paid for that quiet. After 30 plus years of being on somebody else's clock, in somebody else's building, performing for somebody else's comfort, the fact that you finally built a space that's yours and you want to be in it, that's a man enjoying the fruit of his labor. The problem is the slide. The problem is when I'm staying in tonight turns into I haven't been out in 3 weeks. When I don't feel like dealing with people turns into I haven't had a real conversation with a friend since last summer. When the house stops being where you rest and starts being where you disappear. And the slide is sneaky because it feels good the whole way down. Each cancellation feels like a small win. Each evening on the couch feels earned. You don't notice you've gone 3 months without leaving for anything that wasn't a chore until somebody asks you how you've been and you genuinely don't have an answer. Here's the reframe. Resting at home and disappearing into home look identical from the outside. The difference is on the inside and only you can see it. Resting sounds like, I had a hard week. I'm staying in. I'll call my boy on Sunday. I got a thing on the calendar 2 weeks out. Disappearing sounds like, I have nothing on the calendar. I don't want anything on the calendar. And the idea of somebody knocking on this door makes my chest tight. If you're resting, enjoy your house. You built it. If you're disappearing, the move is small. No personality transplant. No whole new social life. Just one wire. One guy from the old list. One text that says nothing more than your name and a question mark. That's it. You don't
have to commit to anything. You don't have to make it deep. You just have to keep one circuit live because the data is clear that men our age with 0 live circuits don't age well, and you've got too much road left to take that bet. Before you click off, let me give you one more thing because I don't want you walking away from this with just a diagnosis and no direction. You ever notice how the hardest part of reaching out isn't the reaching out, it's the explaining. You don't want to text your boy after 14 months and have to account for the 14 months. Where you been? Why you ain't call? What's been going on? That conversation feels like a job interview you didn't sign up for, so you don't send the text. The friction of the catch-up is heavier than the loneliness, and you pick the loneliness because the loneliness is at least quiet. Here's what I want you to know. Grown men don't actually do that catch-up interview. That's a thing you made up in your head. You text a man you ain't talked to in 2 years and say you alive. He says barely. And y'all pick up like no time passed. That's how it works at this age. Nobody's got the energy for the audit. Everybody's just glad somebody remembered they exist. The guilt you're carrying about being out of touch is a tax you're paying that the other man isn't even charging you. And about the going out part, I'm not telling you to start hitting the club. Nobody wants that. I'm also not telling you to force yourself into rooms full of strangers making small talk about nothing. That's the thing the introvert in you is correctly rejecting. What works at our age is small and specific. One man, one activity, something with a built-in reason to be there so you don't have to manufacture conversation out of thin air. A game, a fish fry at somebody's house, helping your cousin move a couch, going to look at a car you're not going to buy, stuff with a task attached. The conversation happens around the task, not on top of it, and that's the only kind of socializing a lot of us actually enjoy. The other thing, and I'll keep this short, stop waiting for somebody to invite you. Half the men your age are sitting in their houses right now wondering the same thing you're wondering, which is why nobody's calling them. Everybody's waiting to be picked. Be the one who picks. Send the text first. Plan the thing first. Pick the date first. You'll be surprised how fast people say yes when somebody finally takes the wheel because they've been waiting too. Your house is good. Keep your house good. Just don't let the door rush shut. Catch you on the next one. The video playing right now. Go ahead and start there.